Welcome back to The Changed Physician. I'm Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, with my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro, to come and bring you Saturday Salutations after, we've had a little bit of a hiatus since September, early September, I guess.
Was it September?
I think it was early September that we talked to everybody, but we're back to say hello. Kevin and I haven't seen each other in a while either, so I want to say hi to each other and everyone else out there. And if you don't know what The Changed Physician is all about, please go to thechangedphysician.com and you can join the community, whether you're a physician or a physician ally. We'd love to see you there. And what we typically do, if you don't know what Saturday Salutations encompasses, it's typically random talks at times, but we like to cover what recently has happened in the podcast or what's coming up, and answer any questions if you want to leave a comment or a like, or you can just go ahead and go to the podcast and make sure you follow the Changed Physician podcast. So how are you doing there, Kevin?
Well, you know, you would think this would be fast, but it's not.
Still always a struggle. But you know what? I was going to mention, since it's been a while since we've talked, I'm going to look at this past month or so and just kind of rattle off some of the names of people that we had interviewed.
Sounds great. Yeah, because
okay.
I can't find I now literally can't find the create new post page for anything.
Oh yeah, everything's changed. For those that don't know, Facebook's always changing algorithms and how to do things. But so back in, I'll just say in September, we had done a little host chat about how movies can influence and change you. That was from September 4th. And then the following week, we did one on death and doctoring, a topic a lot of times people don't want to talk about, but necessary. And then the following 3 episodes that were at the end of September were Dr. Ian Harris, who's an Australian orthopedic surgeon, researcher, author, who discussed placebo in one of his episodes, hypocrisy or hypocrazy, as we said. He has a new book out with another author, and we did a deep dive on those episodes. So make sure to check those out. And then, of course, October, we've been releasing Dr. Kelly Casperson's interviews, which are You're Not Broken, her new book, and talking about sex hypocrisy, speaking of hippo-crazy, not too long before that, and spicing up your sex life. So some of the topics, you know, I think this prior month of episodes, we've been talking about things people don't want to talk about: death, the hypocrisy of life, and of certain fields, and sometimes sex life people don't want to talk about. So we are very comfortable talking about these things, so we are bringing them to you through the Changed Physician podcast. And there are some other exciting interviews coming up. We'll just leave it to next time we talk. You'll get to see those releases coming week, and we'll discuss them next Saturday. So any comments you want to say from all those episodes? Of course, the Thursdays were some throwbacks that you can go and check out, like Dr. Caleb Redden, Dr. Diana Lake talking about locums, Dr. David Durginas talking about how he had started a podcast, Dr. Joe Pecoraro, how his weight loss as a vascular surgeon changed his life, and Dr. Anna Kabeka talking about her, transitioning to online business as well, she's referred to as the girlfriend doctor. But all those are in the repeats from 2020. So a ton of episodes.
And Facebook is making me so angry that I could barely hear what you said. No, like literally, okay. They can't. So it used to be you could copy the link, or it used to be you should be able to share it to your business page, but then they don't want you to share it from your business page, because then you had to copy the link and then you had to switch to your business page and put it in a post, and then it would allow you to do it.
Yeah.
And then it was one of my pages you could share it, but the other one you had to log out. Now I can't share to either of them. I have to log out into those pages, switch profiles to get it. I have the link already copied. If I push the create new post to try to share this for the audience or whoever they may be, and then it won't let you post a link. To create a post, it's like enter, Meta Business Suite, do this, do that, click this, put a thing in, but there's nothing for me to actually literally take the link off of Facebook from their own platform to put it in my own profile for a business on their own platform. Screw you, Facebook, you jackasses. It's like, this is whatever. Anyway.
Well, you know,
Maybe
they're
we
out.
need to start with a YouTube, because I think YouTube they can do a live thing off of
Well,
YouTube.
that's our next venue.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah. Well, we're
yeah, it
on
has been
YouTube,
interesting.
so we might as well.
Might as well. It works well.
And
So,
actually, I mean, my live stream stuff, I think that gives me an option with YouTube. So, you know, that's always something we can consider.
and I don't usually go, but I mean, I've never done it, but of course, I guess we're on the older thing, and only old people use Facebook now, right? Isn't that what everybody says?
I don't know. I
Apparently.
mean, it probably depends what you're doing. Are you using it for personal or business or what you started with and it's just what you're used to? I mean, it
Yeah.
probably depends, but
Well, that's my grumpiness coming out, because it's what I'm used to, and they keep changing it, and so it's no longer what you're used to, and making it more and more difficult to use.
yeah,
But
the only thing we know is things will always change, and some of us might get grumpier about change,
like me, yeah.
especially if they don't make it obvious to tell us how we can do things now that they changed it. But anyway, I was, we've been releasing these episodes despite the fact I took a sabbatical, and try to keep up with the Instagram releases. So we're pretty much caught up with everything.
You
We
were
did
awesome. I did comment on the episodes for anybody who hasn't seen the Ian Harris episodes. No matter who you are, you need to watch the Ian Harris episodes. That's Dr. Ian Harris. He's an orthopedic surgeon down in Australia. If you are a physician, particularly if you're a specialist physician, it may challenge a lot of your beliefs, and that's a good thing. That's what we're supposed to be allowed to do. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about that, and I was shocked. And I thought I wouldn't be shocked. I was even shocked by some of the stuff that we talked about in that episode.
yeah.
Anyone in medicine needs to understand that. And if you are not in healthcare and you have to engage in the healthcare system, which is everybody else, then you need to do that just so that you can kind of at least stay safe. It's the amount of voodoo that we practice in medicine just astounds me. Like on a day-to-day basis, I'm completely astounded at the amount of voodoo we do.
Yeah.
This is not crazy conspiracy series. This is not like weird stuff digging in your yard to put a root to protect you from something. This is literally peer-reviewed journals that have published this stuff for quite literally decades, and we're not following it. And it is so disappointing to me, like for medicine, the stuff that we do, and then the amount of people who just come up and say, well, I know what the data says, but my patients say it works every time, except for the ones who don't. It's just it's crazy. Crazy.
And it's hard. It's like this weird dualism here or duality where you have to, like, I want my patients to be, just educated and understand the nuances, or at least to the best extent that they can, that there are things that go on that are inappropriate and or outright wrong. I want them to like have some level of like cautiousness, but then I also want them to trust me that I want to look out for them. Like it's this weird thing where you want to warn them, but then that you want them to trust you. Like it's interesting.
Well, no, that's the goal, right? And
Right.
and I think that's the one of the biggest issues I have with the amount of voodoo we practice, is
Yeah.
because trust is vital to a healthy relationship, and particularly if you're in when someone else has a degree of control over you or your outcome, that is pretty huge. I mean, in medicine that happens.
Yeah.
And so by the fact that we are not following data, disconfirming our beliefs, or practicing by evidence, if we're using anecdote based on evidence rather than practicing anecdote contrary to the evidence, we're really violating a public trust.
Yeah.
And it makes it difficult for every physician then, because now there's a good reason people don't trust us. We like, oh, well, it's Dr. Google. No, it's not just Dr. Google. It's because we are now all more aware. You can't hide this stuff anymore. So you're buying a car, like the car dealerships used to have this monopoly where they had all this data and it was extraordinarily difficult to get it.
Mm-hmm.
We have the internet. It is not that hard to figure out like MSRP or what the rebates are or whatever. So that information has switched, and to capitalize that, If you're going to try to do the old way and you're going to try to pretend that nobody can get this information and you're going to wheel and deal and screw people, that just doesn't work. And it's the same thing in healthcare. We need to be conscious that people can get this information, that we need to be competent at understanding the information ourselves. We need to be able to explain it, but we used to do it in a way that we're actually maintaining trust with our patients rather than creating more and more of this, well, just trust me because I know everything, or just, don't read anything on Google, because there's so many people who are violating the public trust. I mean, billing, like this is, the way that hospitals, the lack of transparency that we actually perform business in healthcare is astounding. We're creating a marketplace that does not promote trust because of the lack of transparency in what we do. And then unfortunately, some of the things that has been legislated to try to increase this transparency have actually increased more issues, because they haven't, kind of solved some of the underlying issues, like the ones where now people are getting results of tests back before. It used to be if you ordered something, it would go to your physician and then your physician would kind of give you with the results. And now, because of our lack of transparency and then because of other stuff, now there's legislation that they have to publish those results. And so people are reading the results. They have no idea what they mean.
Yeah.
And then they're getting scared.
Yeah.
So, I know if we don't clean up our wheelhouse, someone else is going to do it, and they're going to, and they are doing it, and they're doing it at and not a very good job, but just because we've done such a poor job of managing ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a little frustrating, in case you didn't notice. I mean, I'm sure people have been watching this for a while, and I get a little bit of frustrated like this, but it just blows my mind at how bad things are.
Oh yeah.
How we don't, because trust is huge. I mean, we're both, me, you, we have a very trusting relationship. We want to promote transparency here, and you would hope everybody want to do that. But when the entire, the ecosystem is this swampy water, it doesn't allow it very well.
No, not at all. I could probably go on a couple tangents off of that and what I've heard lately, but won't go there. But
well, let's go with happy stuff. Tell us about your trip.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off with something here that is,
we get a slideshow.
We are going to get just a little video because it's International Wombat Day.
International Wombat. I should have brought my stuffed wombat in the room.
Oh, well.
I have a stuffed wombat, by the way.
Do you?
I do.
Well, I'm going to show you a video. So you can see the wombat kind of right now.
Looks like a rabbit kind of with short ears.
Yeah, it looks like it. This is before I start the video. It's about a minute long. It is a young one. You could tell because the fur is really kind of like smooth, and the wombat is a marsupial for those that don't know in Australia. And this one is young and is not too feisty yet. Like as they become a teenager, apparently they stay like a teenager the rest of their years and less trusting and run away and all this. But we were at a sanctuary called Wings Wildlife Sanctuary in Guns Park, northern Tasmania, which 3 days after we left had a huge flood that destroyed a whole bunch of their areas that these animals live. None of them died from my understanding, but they got hit with some of the worst rains and floods up there. But to preface this, my husband started just petting the wombat, and I was like, go ahead and start petting it near the ears, because a lot of animals, they can't reach that area. So this is what happens. I'll let you, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but you can see what he did.
Oh, he's going crazy. Of course, is he rolling over because he loves it so much, or he's rolling it over to get rid of the touch?
I don't know.
Look at those claws, man. Holy
I know. I think,
but he keeps coming back. He keeps coming back for the. Look at those claws on that thing, though. That's
I know,
amazing.
they can dig.
Wow.
One more little scratch here, and I'll turn it off.
One more little scratch. So wombats are feisty, huh? Oh yeah, he really wants to come home with you.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't have the video. Yeah. So let me just stop the share here. Did it stop? Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay. You don't see a screen now, right?
I don't know. I'm on the Zone thing, so I have no idea what we're seeing.
Okay.
But it looks like
Anyway.
it's okay. I think we're okay.
Yeah. So that was just, one of our great encounters with, some of these rescued wildlife situations. Most of these were like not typical zoos, or kind of, either the mom had been hit by a car and the babies left, and then they raise, and some of them they go back out to the wild depending on the circumstance. But so I got to have, most people, that was actually an enclosure where, it wasn't a direct shared encounter where you can pay a little extra to actually directly hold them, which I was just thinking I should probably just share something else here. I'll just show a picture, because I could spend hours sharing stuff, but let me just pull up a picture here. But so just for those of you that didn't know what my adventure included, a third of it, of the 4.5 to 5 weeks of vacation, was in the northern island of New Zealand in the Taranaki region. And then about 10 days in mainland Australia, which was about an hour north of Sydney is where we mainly stayed. And then we spent about 9 to 10 days in Tasmania, which is the island state that's south of the mainland Australia. And so we tried to, our favorite things are outdoors, animals, the whole wildlife thing. And so we made a point, we don't do a lot of museums. We're not anti-museums, we tend to be drawn to the outdoors and animals. But here we go. I'm gonna have to send you this one. So damn cute. So at the zoos, I did a few, they do call them special, like, encounters. And so my husband got 2 Tasmanian devil encounters at 2 different places, which was so awesome. And I did marmoset. Do you know what marmosets are, Kevin? They're little monkeys.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if it's gonna transfer here. Oh, there we go. So the marmosets were so damn cute. You could barely tell that they were jumping on you. Oh my God, this is so awesome.
They're so small.
They're so little. But there was a family of 4, and let's see, share screen. There you go. You see that?
I do.
He
And
liked to be on my
only thing
head.
I'm thinking about would be like, I hope it doesn't pee on you.
That's what I thought first. They didn't do a damn thing in my head. But this one parent loved getting on they said there's something about textures of certain fabrics and hair. There's certain hairs they like to jump on. So that was one of the marmosets, and 2 small, that was the parents. So you can imagine the other ones,
Oh, the
I can
little
show
ones,
pictures,
yeah.
are tiny. But they got to the point. So this is a really good example, Kevin, of understanding nervous systems of mammals, or just nervous systems, and how threat I felt like I was like thinking science. I mean, the whole time I'm thinking, how can I make them feel safe? So you're looking at them and they're like so high energy, and they're doing this, and they're looking around and they're assessing the environment, and they know they're probably going to get something to eat, but they're looking at the 2 people that walked in, and then me, who's like total foreigner. I sit down and I'm like looking at them, and I try to smile, try to be inviting, and I don't make any big movement. So for those of you that don't really understand animals or anything, just realize that, pretend like they have PTSD and have been, I don't know, hurt as like a dog that's been tortured. Just give them everything you can that's positive. So the parents were the first ones to come closer, and then I could tell that the kids were a little more like cautious. And once the parents, of course, that's reassurance to the little ones. And then I literally would look, not in a threatening way, to the little baby. The older sibling came in and started getting food and stuff. And the one they said that almost never goes over there to somebody, that was like my challenge. I was like, I'm going to make him feel comfortable. So he's like looking at me and doing these little turns of the head. And I'm like, just like everything, like just kind of like soothing and calm. And that little guy just ran over, and he ended up eating some of the nectar. And then actually it was yogurt at that point, I think. But it just, the transition was amazing, because eventually they were so comfortable that all 4 of them were on my lap, and they were like wrestling around with each other on my lap. It was so incredible. I know it's like, a kid. I feel like a kid. And Corey even said, I can tell when you're happy. You look like a 12-year-old girl that's just having a fascinating time, or a fabulous time. So anyway, that was like my favorite encounter. And then of course, capybaras. I don't know if you know, those are like large rodent looking. Have you heard of
There's
them?
a song, I think, or maybe that's Cuccaro. Sorry,
Oh,
it's a different song,
oh
not
no.
a capybara.
So the Cuccaro, there's a lot of
Yeah.
those there. They're amazing birds. I have all those pictures. I'm gonna eventually put together a little trailer of some of these things, and probably I could show it. But let's see what else. My encounter directly with capybara, marmoset, the emperor tamarind, which is a monkey that looks like they have a white mustache. And then what else did I have? The capybara. Of course, we had kind of a direct encounter with the wombat that was different than that enclosure I showed you. My husband, like I said, had 2 Tasmanian devil ones, but he had a red panda one. That was so amazing. And 2 of them, they're all over him. They were the cutest things in the world. And there was one other one I cannot remember. There's 2 monkeys, the capybara. Oh, and one of those sugar gliders. They look like a squirrel, but when they open up their arms, they have like these things that they can fly, like
a flying squirrel.
Like a flying squirrel, but they call them sugar gliders. But anyway, so those are like our direct encounters. We got to like pet them and feed them and all that stuff. So that was a ton of fun. But I would say probably the most like awe-inspiring, like amazing full day somewhere we did was Maria Island. It looks like Maria, but Maria. So southeastern Tasmania. It's a protected island. It used to have some penitentiary some buildings for like the prisoner situation there back in the day. But you have to take like a 30-40 minute ferry from mainland, the main island of Tasmania, to a little island called Maria Island. And you can hire bike or bike rental. So we rented the bike. We got there mid-morning and was there to like 3:30. We did 16 miles on the bike, and it's completely untouched land with wild wombats everywhere. Tasmanian devils come out at night, so we didn't see those during the day. And then I saw some kangaroo through the bush, as they call the forest. And it was just like remarkably different, like terrain, like a foresty feel, and then kind of the open Australian terrain. You'd think of like kind of the red sand or whatever. They had all these cool beaches, and they have a thing called Painted Rock Cliffs. It has all these really cool things that have happened over millions of years to the rock. Yeah, it was super fun. So yeah, it's amazing we didn't stay there. So
you mean that you came home? That's what.
Yeah, we came home. Yeah, like I mean, the question is are we happy enough visiting there, or do we want to be there? So
did you see Tilo? Because did Tilo's episodes?
I did. Tilo's will roll out this week. I didn't mention it yet, but so Tilo, for those that stayed long enough to listen to this, Tilo is an anesthetist, as they call an anesthesiologist down in Australia, which at this point they don't use nurse anesthetists like are utilized here in America. They do all their own cases, but I've checked out. I checked out. I met a few anesthetists in New Zealand, but Tilo is the anesthetist I met in Tasmania. And there's, a need for anesthesiologists pretty much all over Australia, New Zealand. So Tilo showed Corey and I the Northwest Tasmanian area. Thank God, before all the floods and rain and everything came in. Absolutely beautiful. And it's kind of an area of need, more so than like Hobart, which is down south and the capital of Tasmania, and a lot of people work down there. But we stayed in a little town called Penguin for one night, and then over in Launceston, which is kind of off of a inlet river kind of area in North Tasmania, but a little more east. So we stayed there a day. It was just too short, really. Part of that land is most of it's undeveloped or farmland, and it's rural. But my husband and I could imagine living in New Zealand or Tasmania one day if we wanted to. So it's not for everyone, but I would say it's beautiful, beautiful country. And I would say Tasmania is a blending of New Zealand hills and green with Australian wildlife.
Mm.
That's probably the best way to explain. And if you look at the western portion of Tasmania, it's all bush. It's like pretty much undeveloped, protected areas. But we did lots of hikes, and obviously the biking in Mariah Island was a ton of fun. But the whole hiking, if you love hiking, Tasmania is an amazing place to go. Yeah,
very cool.
Watch out for the poison snakes.
Yeah, they got poison,
which we didn't see. We didn't see those, but they're out there. Just don't poke your fingers in holes you can't see what's in there.
Yeah, one of my best friends from college lives in Tasmania, and I would love to get down there sometime, but it's a hike. It's a hike.
It is. Well, if we're down there for any extended period of time, you're more than welcome to visit us. But but without I like I said, there were so many different things. I mean, in 5 weeks, you can imagine 4.5 weeks that we did that. I would say the first third of it was more relaxed, chilling more and less like scheduled, but I think we wanted to explore Tasmania. It's the first time we were there, so we made sure we did at least one thing a day. But the problem is most of those things require traveling, and so that takes up some of your day.
Yeah, because it's kind of spread out. I'm looking at the map right now. But,
yeah, we had let me just tell you the most amazing. Okay, so apparently, if anyone travels Tasmania, everyone tells me the Ross Bakery is like the original scallop pie. So they're like little pot pies, but they're with scallops and like honking big scallops. And if you love seafood and you love hiking, holy crap, Tasmania is like the place for you. Like there's nothing but great seafood there. Anyway, so we went to Ross Bakery, but we happened to stop. We always try to pick out, markets. The markets, you get to see a lot of locals.
Yeah.
So when I scheduled our itinerary, I just picked out the market days to figure out where to be when. So like a Saturday at this one place, Sunday one, because I didn't want to miss them. I've missed markets before, and I'm like, sometimes those are the best souvenirs, and then of course all the animal and other stuff and hikes. But we went to Richmond, which was only like 20 minutes where we're staying in our Airbnb. But that place had the cutest little town. It was tiny. And my husband was like, oh, well, I'm going to get a scallop pie. I'm like, okay, well, Ross is supposed to have the best scallop pie and da-da-da. I'm so glad I didn't tell him, don't get it. But he went ahead and got a couple of them, and they were amazing. So sorry, Ross Bakery, if you hear me say this.
So did you try the Ross Bakery ones too?
Yes, because that was halfway. There's only a certain amount of gas stations along the way. Yeah. Anyway, halfway up, you stop in Ross. Most people go to the bathroom there, and then they go up to the northern Tasmania area. But Ross Bakery, at least the ones we had, weren't all that, like, they're kind of average. But the scallop pie in Richmond, so go to the market, which is tiny and cute and all that, and has some artist stuff there. And I would go to the Richmond little cafe bakery area where it's kind of like the courtyard area, and there was a guy playing the harp all day long there, it looked like. But anyway, went in there, got scallop pies, and top notch. So get your scallop pies there if you go to Tasmania.
Well, you're making me want to go. I like to hike and I like to eat seafood. So
I know, it was really good.
Delicious.
Yeah. Oh, and there is a place. If you go off the northwest Tasmania, we didn't go all the way. We were pretty close to. Went to a place called the Nut in Stanley. Got to the top of that and then took a little chairlift down. If you go just a little bit further to the west and basically get on the western shore of Tasmania, they apparently say, based on testing, that is the cleanest air, because there's nothing pollution-wise hitting them except for South America, which is like 20,000 kilometers. I don't know how many exactly.
Long ways
miles.
away.
Long ways. So you get really fresh, clean air there. I mean, I'm sure the weather can be a little variable there, but anyway, it's really cool place. Yeah. And I met a guy that was born in, of all places, at a cell phone store. I went ahead and bought an Australian phone and phone number, which is minimal cost. Honestly, it was a $50 phone, and pay $6 every 6 months or something like that to keep it.
Can they
So,
call you from that one? Is that a local number?
it doesn't,
Travel.
it's when I'm in Australia, it's super easy and good, like service. And I can use it as a hotspot for my phone. So you can use it for your laptop. So another key tip here is if you go to Australia and you plan on being there a while or anything, you can just get a SIM card, but my phone wasn't accepting an eSIM card for some reason. But as the alternative, I just went ahead and got one of those and made sure it was a hotspot and had internet access on the phone. Super cheap, just get the cheapest phone. But anyway, what was I going to tell you?
The guy down there or something.
Oh, so the guy at the cell phone store is so friendly. And I was like, so have you lived in Tasmania your whole life? So yeah, born, raised, all that. And he's like, I'm about to get my eSIM card to go to Japan. I was like, oh, I've been wanting to go there. And he's like, I was like, they call them OEs. Have you ever heard of that? Overseas experience. Like this is a common, Australia, New Zealand call things OEs whenever someone has an OE because they're so isolated, I guess. And it's almost like it's expected, like it's a worldly thing to do, like to really explore other parts of the world. But I said, he's like, I've been in the US, and he's like, and I said, well, do you ever want to move anywhere else? And he's like, no, I love where I live. Like, this is an amazing place. And I've had experiences talking to people from Tasmania or people from the UK that moved there, and they just love it. Like it doesn't get hit with the same kind of drought and fires quite as badly as the mainland. So yeah, it's think about the crazy world and what we're doing to this earth and stuff. I mean, at some point it's probably not gonna be safe anywhere, but optimistically, I feel like it doesn't get earthquakes like New Zealand, but you have, the snakes and the spiders and all that, but it's beautiful, worth it. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Any questions for me? I've talked a lot.
No, I just sold it. I just want to get down there sometime.
Yeah.
Well,
anyone going, do not go for less than 3 weeks. I mean, that's minimum because the flight will cost you a little bit, but the flight, if you do it right, do not do December or January. That is their vacation time.
Their local vacation time.
Local vacation time. It's twice as much typically. So I would say early spring or late summer. We kind of hit like just the brink of beginning of spring. So it was still pretty cool. And it's pretty moderate temperatures. Corey loved that temperature there. It was awesome for him. And I just have to wear a jacket. I mean, in the mountain, we stayed in a mountain in this like earthen home thing. I found one little scorpion, but it's okay. I took care of it. But other than that, I mean, we're up, where wildlife is and stuff. And it was, and patamelons. Oh, there's patamelons on the property. They're like baby wallabies, like small versions of wallabies. So PADEMELON for those that don't know, but there you go. There's a quick little rendition and thoughts of my sabbatical.
Of your sabbatical. Well,
and what are we doing? We're already thinking about when we're going back. For those of you who think I'm crazy to go to the same place, there's just a reason why.
Yeah, I think that you found a place that's super awesome and go back again. That's always like the challenging thing is you go to some place that's really cool and then but there's other cool places, but at the same time, I don't know, because then you go back and you get more used to it and I don't know. Yeah, you can see things change and stuff. So,
well, I will tell you one challenge when I got back. I've been driving on the opposite side of the car on the opposite side of the road. My husband is always happy to let me have the driving wheel. And I got here, I gave myself 4 days padding before I'd start work, just for jet lag and all the other stuff. Jet lag's not bad when you get there. It's just a little harder when you get back. But when I got in my car to go to work, I didn't have queues in my neighborhood with no lines and no other oncoming traffic. I pull out immediately, go to the left side of the road. I'm like, oh, and then you're like, wait, right? Oh, wait, left? No, is it right? Right. And then I pull to the right. And then once you're on the streets and you get in your routine, then it's not a big deal. But here's the other clue that that someone's a foreigner, and not all cars, but you try to put your signal on, you turn on the windshield wipers. That's like the biggest giveaway. So I kept doing that for like the first few days when I got here, because I started getting trained. The neuroplasticity of the brain. You start rewiring yourself to do the other. And there's so many neuroscience things going on here, Kevin, between interacting with animals and driving. So there you go. All right. I've badgered you with a lot of my down under.
Down under. I think people are like, oh, I want to go to Tasmania now. And they should. You know,
Yeah.
Not too many though. Don't want to overwhelm.
Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, only the right people. We need
only the right people. Can't be the wrong people. Yeah.
It's don't bring this pretentious, I'm all about me and I'm going to be jerks. I'm going to drive like a maniac, you know, that kind of mentality to the country of Tasmania. In fact, we talked to some people and they're like, you guys would be a good fit. Not that we're perfect or anything, but there's a certain mindset you have to have and not be all pretentious. And I don't know, like, and there's always going to be some of those people, but
that's just being a good traveler though. Cause I mean, really that doesn't serve you well anywhere.
No.
And the more pretentious people are, I think honestly, I think they're probably the worst travelers. They may actually have been a lot of places, but they're not really traveling. You know, they're the people who go to the 5-star resorts. They go to the all-inclusives. They go do the, you know, they leave America expecting to find America someplace else, but maybe cheaper or something ridiculous.
No.
And that's not traveling. That's I don't even know what that is. It's ridiculous. You know.
No, it's not like the earth and home in the middle of the hill. It takes 15 minutes to get up in there every day, like we did. Like it's a totally different. Like you want to be embedded within the culture in a totally different way. That's like the beauty of exploring that is like, I don't know how to explain it. We've had episodes about traveling and what it can do to you and what it can do for you, but I mean, nobody really wants to have to get up in the morning and work if they don't feel like it. I mean, a lot of us enjoy or get value from the work we do, but there's something about when you're forced every day with an alarm clock, having to be on this like regiment. It's hard on anybody over time. It just gets old. And so I think, you know, that's why the best retirees sometimes are the ones that they have something meaningful and have a mission in mind to do, but they create their life. They are never bored. They always find something to do of meaning or gives them happiness like that. I mean, I think that's what many of us strive for if we can.
Yeah. I agree.
So anything exciting you want to share, Kevin? So I don't just talk about myself.
No, I think we're good. I think we're good. Other than it's good to have you back and good to be doing Saturday Salutations again. And
and no matter where I live, one day, if I ever change locations, we could still do this.
We could. No,
just different time zones.
No, I do think it's in, as I sort of led on, when we talked to, I forgot Tilo's last name.
Tilo Klinger.
Tilo Klinger, who is actually a German anesthetist before he actually went to Tasmania. Again, those are episodes that are coming up, but I do think it's an amazing opportunity. And those are to be able to practice in these other locations is it doesn't work out for everybody, but I don't think I've ever met anybody that a few people I've known and done. I don't think anybody regretted it. That's for sure.
Right.
And I mean, just the opportunity to leave something is also I want to do that at some point, but unfortunately my kids are going to be all gone out of the house at that point. So it'll just be my wife, but that's one of the big things I'm looking for is actually living someplace else for an extended amount of time, simply so you can get that, you know, you become a little bit of, you can see what the culture is rather than just kind of, you know, I don't know, kind of dipping your toes in, you're actually swimming in the pool for a while.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting in some due diligence to kind of see how that because it's always, you're not, and in my situation, I'm not going to make as much down there as here. And I have a very amazing opportunity here to do some really creative, you know, personally designed business doing anesthesia. So it's a balance of that and like, when's the trade-off okay to take less? And, you know, so it's not a matter of what we'd want to, you know, if we'd like to be there, it would be nice. Just, we don't make it too much of a struggle with the transition, especially if we don't want to get rid of our home here yet. So there's a lot that goes in our minds about making this.
It's a big deal. Yeah. It's not something you just want to jump into.
Yeah. Cause you invest a lot of your life, not only your business, but your personal life in here. And, changing that up it's a struggle for it's a challenge in a way that you have to try to navigate that.
Yep, absolutely.
Why don't you take us out?
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for our first Saturday Salutations in a long time after a little break here. Got some great episodes coming up. Make sure to watch them as they drop. And we should be here again next Saturday. Until next time, stay well.
Take care.